Now, this is for the preppers or those members of the preparedness movement or people interested in getting in it or whatever. I should have made this video a while ago, but if you go into Patriot Nurse's channel on the intro video, I think it is, to her channel, she talks about how she talks with many different preppers, and often she'll ask them, what are you preparing for? What's your main thing? And they come out with some baloney like a North Korean missile attack, or some other far-flung blimmin' stuff, you know, that sounds sort of conspiracy theory-ish, and it's just what she refers to as a Hollywood scenario. You know, they've been watching Red Dawn a little bit too much. You know, they've, you know, some of these things, they are more likely to be struck by lightning or become a NASA astronaut than they are to actually have a North Korean missile, nuclear missile, hit them and boom, and there's fallout all over the place, you know. So you may say, well, what's the most likely scenario? What should we be prepping for? And, you know, one of the obvious ones that a lot of people say is natural disaster. You know, and that is, you know, tornadoes, hurricanes, cyclones, or floods, which, you know, some of which can result from cyclones, but some which happen on their own from rain, or, you know, earthquake, you know, or drought, or something like that, you know, pretty straightforward sort of stuff. And yeah, that's a pretty good one to prepare for, but I believe there's another one that's far more common, and I sort of prepared for this myself, and that is, in today's economy, job loss. You know, and over here, they basically expect you to default on your mortgage, and they want all the records of your finances and share ownership and all this sort of stuff. So, you know, you've got to put things in place to basically keep a wad of cash and don't say anything about it and that. They check 3 months back on your bank account, by the way, and they also ask you exactly how much your mortgage is and how much percentage of it you've paid off. But they won't give you anything for mortgage or anything like that. They give you a very dismal amount for rent, and you've got to go through a fair bit of paperwork for that. And quite simply, you know, you just expected to more or less default. Oh, we're not going to help you on your mortgage, but we want to know exactly how much you got, you know, because if you got too much money, you're not eligible. And the amount of money several years ago was $1,250, and there's some people pay that in 2 weeks' rent, you know, definitely 3 or 4 weeks' rent. And, you know, I'm buggered if I'm going to default on something that I own 92% of already, or thereabouts, probably more. So, yeah, that's one thing you got to do, you know, stash a bit of money away that nobody knows about in cash in a hidden place to be able to deal with, you know, the bullshit and the bureaucracy that this welfare system has here. One of the other ones is you may need that welfare money for mortgage payments or fixing up a car, and you know, there's something that happened with me. Now, basically, the mortgage lender I was with got bought out by a major bank. They're only a small lender, and they got eaten alive by, or bought out, not eaten alive, bought out by one of the major banks. And in that, it was about 6 months before they sorted out all the paperwork, and they were stuffing around for ages. Anyway, I didn't have to pay a mortgage for 6 months. Well, I'd already paid in advance, which is maybe one you want to think about. If you can pay it in advance, but some of them you pay in advance and they go, oh no, you've just made extra payments previously, and now you still got to pay this month's, and you got no money in your pockets. And you said, well, hang on a minute, I thought I paid 6 months in advance. Oh no, you've just made larger payments previously, but you still got to make this payment. That's one thing you've got to be aware of. So check out what the hell goes on with your mortgage, know what's going on with it. But with me, I can make advance payments, and they deliberately put the date on there, you know, that I'm paid up to a certain date. But anyway, there was that time where, I was waiting 6 months before they changed the paperwork over, and I ended up saving a whole stack of money, but really didn't have anywhere to pay it to because they, I didn't want to tangle the paperwork up by making large bulk payments because it mightn't even show up on the paperwork because it was sort of in limbo. And then I would have paid thousands and they would tell me it didn't exist. So I ended up sitting on quite a lot of money, and I sort of thought, well, I'm a bit fearful that I was going to just spend it on something I didn't need, like another car or something stupid like that. So I sort of thought, well, what I should do is spend it on something that I was going to buy anyway. And so what I went out and done was I got a whole stack of detergent, a whole stack of canned food, a whole stack of dunny paper, shampoo, bars of soap, even got a big flipping heaps of, like about a dozen bottles of soy sauce and several slabs of Coke, and olives, gherkins, mayonnaise, tomato sauce or ketchup. We often just call it sauce in this country. And fruit juice, heaps of fruit juice, flipping tons of it. So yeah, that was sort of, I spent me way down a little bit, and then I wasn't so tempted to go and, spend money on stuff I didn't need. But in all of that, I sort of could foretell that the company was sort of going slow. And no work's coming up. We don't have much to do. And I thought, yeah, the company won't just sit here and let us not have much to do for ages and ages. That ain't going to happen. They're going to sack us. They're going to let some of us go. And I could sort of smell on the wind with talking to some of the other people because, when I was in one department, I used to, sort of be in... my boss's office was in the same space as someone who was, he'd like work out all the parts they'd need for a project. And he'd know all the jobs that were coming in, and he'd said to me, there isn't shit coming in, there's nothing. And I thought to myself, yeah, and there's nothing on the horizon coming for months, to come. We've bugger all to do. And I thought, yeah, this ain't going to last, they're going to sack people. And so I sort of bought it with that intention as well. Plus, when you go every week to the shops and buy a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and and you go every week or twice a week, you're going to buy stuff. I thought, this is pointless. I might as well get the stuff now that I know is going to last. The detergent's going to last for years. The flipping canned food's 2 years. Fruit juice is, more than a year. And, some of these other blooming olives and that's like 3-4 years. And soy sauce and all that, it's years away that it goes out of date. So I thought, well, there's no harm in buying it because it's going to be fine anyway. So I ended up buying all that stuff. And I remember when there was the meetings were getting to, first of all, they going to cut afternoon shift, which I was on at the time, in half. And then, only like a week and a half, 2 weeks later, we're going to cut afternoon shift altogether. And then, it was like, oh, blimey, what's next? They're going to be sackings. And then they come in and said, well, we want volunteers for redundancies. And everyone's like, ooh. And then we were sitting there around the lunch table, and I said, well, I've bought flipping... I've also got heaps of dunny paper, if I didn't mention that. Got about 2 years' supply of that. I've bought all this, I said to them, I've hoarded up heaps of flipping canned food and dunny paper. What do you need all that for? Is the end of the world going to come? They're going, and I go, no. Might be the end of our jobs, seeing we've just blooming had, voluntary redundancies announced. And I said, and that's what a flaming got it for. Not going to be the end of the world, it may be the end of our jobs. And I said, and then that's going to be less crap that I've got to flip and buy when I've got no money, when I'm on welfare and I'm getting peanuts a week. And that has since proved to be the case. So it's not a stupid idea. Because here I am, right here, flipping peas, 10 peas. Now that was one of the things that I bought several, they come in like dozen boxes. So I bought about 3 dozen, and here I am eating them now. Olives. I didn't get too much of this. I probably should get more. That was jam. mayonnaise, gherkins, tomato sauce or ketchup. Sit down, you sod. Soy sauce. Now, every one of those things you just saw there. Oh, one more. Canola oil. Every one of those things you just saw there was stuff that I bought, except the jam, in this big buy-up that I've done. And here I am now, 2.5 months unemployed, and I'm using it all still. And there's flipping piles. And I'm not going to show you in the room with the with all the detergent because it's too dark in there. But believe me, you know, there's damn near a year and a half or more of detergent, 2 years of blooming toilet paper. I'm getting a bit lower on canned food, but I'm not completely out of that yet. And I'll still have that even when I'm on welfare. You know, and there you go. So that's the most likely thing that you will need to, or should be, prepping for, over and above all the Hollywood scenarios. And I've done that, and here it is serving me right now, as I've just shown. So there, that's something I wanted to bring up, that, you know, job loss is the realistic thing that you should be prepping for in today's economy, to make your time of unemployment a whole lot blasted easier and smoother, as I've found it is for me. You know, I haven't had to spend bugger all money on food, you know, not that I often do, but the fact is that there's a whole stack of things, you know, that I've got, some of which are sort of expensive, like shampoo, you know, that I've already hoarded up. So, yeah.